Welcome to Design Diary, the podcast where you get to look inside my board game design notebook as well as what's going on inside my head. We look at a new word each day from the sense of mechanics, tone, theme, or inspiration for a full game. Today's word is...
Risorgimento.
Risorgimento, often capitalized. We got a trend here last week too. The 19th century movement for Italian political unity, a time of renewal or Renaissance revival. So this was an easy one, right?
Super easy. I knew how to pronounce it. I knew everything that it was referencing, and a game just sprung forth fully formed from my head, like Athena from Zeus's head.
So I'm assuming all three of those are lies?
Oh, most definitely.
I have never heard this word. I don't understand like political movements of this level. Like it's well, first of all, it's pre-internet. So like
Yeah.
I don't understand what you did before you just tweeted. You know what I mean? Like we've even been around, well, I've been around pre-internet. I'm a couple of years older than you, but you still, I just don't know what you did. So trying to get into that mindset of how you would accomplish those things was really difficult.
I mean, if the musical Hamilton, I mean, they talk about how they wrote essays to pitch the Constitution to people, and they wrote like 85 essays. Wow. So essays were the way that movements happened.
See, I know about like the phone calls they used to make, where you just get a phone call, and even knew people who did that as a job. But
yeah,
all right, so gosh. I mean, my whole thing was spreading the word, and that's kind of what I took from it.
Okay.
And I looked at the Carbonari. Do you know what that is?
No. It's a pasta dish, probably, right?
I actually went a very that kind of direction at first, where I was trying to like the liberation. I got liberation on the brain from Kickstarter. The liberation of Italy was going from 2 boots to 1 at one point, but I scrapped that in my notes. But Carbonari was a secret society that was instrumental in the beginning of the Risorgimento. But what was neat about them was they had like complex symbols. They had this interesting like hierarchy. They had these like language, and they had this intense like initiation for the higher ranking members. And what I took from it was, it was almost like an engine builder, but you're not building your own engine. You're building off of what other people are doing. So when I'm building my engine, instead of like having this little tableau and adding to it, I'm throwing something onto your tableau so it triggers when you do something. I'm throwing something onto somebody else's tableau so it triggers when they do something. So it's kind of like my people infiltrating all these different areas and trying to spread the word. And I could do ones based off of your actions or based off of things that you receive, but it's all based off of everybody else and how things are going. And I also wanted to add to it the secret language of sorts and have a little bit of like a social deduction kind of thing going on, where everyone had like definitions of words or symbols and knew what they were. But when I would pass you like a symbol that you don't know, one, it gives you information that, you know, I may not be on the other side, but two, you know, if you have the answer for it, now we can start sharing some things. So I wanted this, like, I had written area control, engine building off of each other with a secret language and hierarchy of players. And the hierarchy just was like, was neat because it was a regent, 2 assistants, an orator, a preacher, a secretary, a treasurer, and an archivist. And I was like, that sounds like a game right there. Like just all those being roles. And it's a big mess and I got nowhere, but engine building off of other people's actions and what they receive and that all seemed really cool to me.
Okay, nice. I like sending out other people. Anything to get your eyes off your own stuff.
Yeah.
I'm up for.
Yeah, me too. I like that.
So mine, kind of took a much larger scale in both in like time and kind of view. So I was thinking of specifically of like one city. Like if you could plant like a drone that hovered like 1,000 feet above Rome for 1,000 years.
Okay.
What would that city and the change look like? Because I was specifically thinking about like renewal and revival. So in order to renew something, you need to have something old.
Yep.
And so this city goes into decay, and then at a certain point, it gets renewed. It could go building by building. It could go block by block. Something happens where it needs to be, people find it valuable to bring back the old. And so I was thinking, a lot of games have the market mechanism where newer cards are the most expensive, and the oldest cards are cheap. Whether you have to drop something off on the older cards, and so the longer they stay out, the more they're worth, or simply have each slot in the market be a cost.
Yeah, for sure.
So anything that is super old is free. Anything that is new, you have to pay to get. And so, you know me, I like adding spatial stuff into my designs. And so I was thinking of either a single player, a board in the center of the table, or everyone's player boards where they are building different cities. And each building or block in this city has an age. And each round, these age tokens are added to these buildings. So these buildings are getting older and older. And so obviously it would be nice to have all new buildings all the time, but that would be a lot more expensive than trying to renovate. Even though in reality it would take a lot more money to renovate a 1,000-year-old building than a 10-year-old building. But I'm thinking about the cultural value of that. Of course. In Provo right now, we're dealing with a city hall issue where we have to decide whether we're going to destroy the city hall and build a new one, renovate the old building, or move to a new building.
Interesting.
And so we're trying to figure that out. And so like as each turn goes by, these buildings are getting older and older, and so you have to figure out when you're going to build to get the most out of it, so that you can collect these tokens that have been building on this block for so long. And so obviously you don't want to wait until all your buildings are old and all of them have all these tokens, because you've run out of time at that point in the game. Or there are specific locations on the board that need to be renewed by a certain time, or have to have a certain building that are only available at certain times. So the upcoming game, Warsaw, City of Ruins, goes through specifically Warsaw, Poland, going through time. And so I thought that would be super cool. Just add more spatial elements to the market rather than a line. Have your own buildings and they age, and depending on whether they're next to something or whether they're in like the perfect part of town for you to build your new city hall, things go into that. So I wish I could dive like more specific, into more fleshed out ideas, but I realize that this is only one day. I could use some of this later on if I wanted to, but man, one of these days I wish I could just have like a fully fleshed out game, bring and be able to pitch it to you right on air.
It's been a long time. Let's see, 150 some episodes, and I've had that maybe like twice where I was like, here's the game.
Mm-hmm.
There are at least two games in Board Game Geek named Risorgimento, which...
Really?
Yeah, both are like, those like moldy smelling war game boxes that are all like paper chits. They look like that. I might be giving them a real disservice right now. But yeah, wow. And I was like, I thought for sure this had, you say bringing a full game, like this is very gamey in nature, especially war game or anything like that. Like I figured there had to be something.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of these weeks we're gonna come with a game, and it's gonna it's gonna be featured on Design Diary. It's gonna be written on
Gonna
that box.
blow us all away. People will hear it first on Design Diaries.
Well, I can tell you it's not this week.
Nope.
And
Bye, Risorgimento. Never going to hear about you ever again.
I can tell you next week's promising. So
nice. Well, I'm looking forward to
We'll
it.
end with some hope.
Sounds good to me.
All right, see ya.
Talk to you later.